All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Equity Blueprint podcast. I feel like I always had a brain freeze there. I was about to say the included series because that's what we used to be, but this is the rebranded Equity Blueprint podcast, and I am super excited to bring it back for all those who are just joining us. If this is your first episode, welcome. Really excited to get into this conversation. My name is Dana Wilson, CEO and founder of CHIP. We are a fintech platform that helps connect individuals and small businesses to different financial professionals and helping you scale up and build your human capital financial team. It is my pleasure to bring in, one of the dopest people I know, Rashaad Lambert, to the podcast. Welcome, Rashaad. How are you? How
Thank
have you
you.
been? All the things.
I am excellent. Can't complain. I think I gave you that little bit of like nostalgia. Like you were so used to us being on the show that you're like, oh wait, this must be, but things change.
I know. I was like, what is this thing called again? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, we rebranded. We have a new name. Got
Sometimes
it.
you gotta pop out and rebrand.
Exactly. You got to pop out and show all the things. Man, I am super excited to have this conversation. For all of those who, this is your first time kind of tuning into the podcast. We're back to video form, which I thought was great for this moment that we're in to really see everybody's face and also hear their voice. That's how we kicked
Yeah.
off season one, or the original season of the included series. And in tradition, although in this formula, like we were talking about before, we kind of broke tradition. Normally, Rashaad, excuse me, had become my first guest on every podcast season. And I don't even know how that
So
started.
honored.
Like,
So honored.
yeah, no, we've just always had this like amazing conversation. And then it's just like always just set the tone of the seasons. Now, although we're breaking tradition here, we're
Yeah.
still it's
Yeah, we
still going to
start
be in
new traditions.
line. creating new traditions for the new podcast, but
Yeah.
happy again to have you here. And I feel like there's
Same.
ah there's so much to talk about and
Oh, so much.
so many places to start.
A lot going on.
Yes, a lot going on. We won't, kind of go back into, your money journey and stories and all of that. We definitely have two episodes for everyone to kind of check out to kind of get
Right.
this. But I feel like for where you are and everything you've had going on, there is this
Mhm.
evolution, of things that have, happened and
I
moving.
like that word.
And yeah, evolution. I feel like, we got to put we got to start rebranding some words. And like just making them, what they are.
Exactly.
It is an evolution, right? So definitely just jump in and talk about the evolution of, where you are in your particular journey as it relates to wealth and legacy and yeah, all that's tied to it right now.
Sure. So currently, I guess I would say in terms of rebranding, launched the Black Excellence Society 2 years ago, moving forward with the legacy that I created with Forms of Culture, and moving into this space where the way I would describe it or have been describing it is that like for the culture was the baseline was the community. It was the call to action to gather to through those three C's to connect, to collaborate and to create change, and then moving from that to now BES more so is the business of a community, like how to empower a community, how to ensure that those people that you've gathered together that they are able to empower others. Each one teach one, lift as we climb. All of those things that we've been talking about, throughout these other conversations. And a lot, I feel like, it's really interesting that we're talking about our previous interviews because a lot of those things that we discussed, I was talking about what was to come, and those things have manifested as they do when you talk about things in that positive form, right? I think that I guess the best way to describe it is that word you said, evolution or the rebranding. Along with that, I talked a little bit before about wanting to not wanting to necessarily be in the forefront of the organization, right? To put the members first. So like separately outside of the organization, I relaunched my marketing agency. So Culture Makers is now back on the market or back in the marketplace. I'll say we never really left the space, but now I'm back within Culture Makers. It was kind of I would say it was operating without my direction necessarily, and now we've brought things back into focus. On a personal side, we and myself we exited from Forbes, so now we're fully independent again. That's unrelated, but I'll mention it next. I just don't want to conflate the two things.
No worries. We'll talk about it all.
Yeah, I wrote a book. So the first one is done. It's called Guilty in the Court of Public Opinion. That is the first in a 3-book series. I actually just recently finished writing the second book. Nobody knows that but you now and whoever is watching this. So your audience will now know. And the third book is in progress now. I started writing that. I'm not done yet, maybe like a couple chapters in. But I'm also a perfectionist. It took me, I guess they say you have your whole life to write your first book. So I can say the first book took me my whole life, but it really took me like 5 years or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. I started writing in like 2018 and kept like revising and revising and revising. And I think I talked to you before, maybe it was on the show, maybe it was just personally, how that will be my first book, but it was like my 13th book. Like I kept writing books about different stuff that I didn't want my first book to be too predictable. Everybody wanted me to write something about myself. I'm like, well, I got time for that. I'll write a book about me. And if I don't, then somebody will. So
Yeah,
I don't
that's how it
necessarily,
happens, right? It's
yeah,
like somebody will
yeah. I don't
recreate
need
your
to do
words
that.
in your story.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I'm like that part is not. I'm not really focused on kind of doing that. I didn't want to write a book about. I didn't want to write like an ebook. I wasn't trying to sell a course or a class, or I wasn't trying to do like I didn't want to do any of those things. I wanted to make sure that the if I was going to write a book, that it's something that I would be willing to stand on, not just in this moment, but for years, decades to come. So I think Guilty in the Court of Public Opinion is that work. I'm very proud of it. Very excited. It's gonna be a little bit before people can get their hands on it, but when it's out, I'll make sure the first copy.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah.
I'm gonna ask, like, what is my copy? I also
Well,
want my
listen,
signed copy, and I
absolutely,
can show up and I'll be
one
like,
thousand
look.
percent, 1,000%, 1,000%. And I keep my word, so you will get it for sure.
No, I
But yeah, I'm really excited about that. Just launched a new beverage in partnership with a longtime collaborator, Chill Moody, through the Nice Things Beverages imprint. And we just launched the Nice Things of Tequila Transfusion. So anybody that's watching that is into golf, the transfusion is like the typical golf drink, but it contains vodka, and that's nasty. Just to simplify it. So we switched out the vodka, added in tequila, threw in, it's got the regular ginger. We threw in some bergamot, some black currant, some flavors that you don't normally get when you're thinking of that type of beverage. But I guarantee you, it's the best thing that you ever tasted. It's nothing else like it on the market, because we've really, like we put our taste and style into it. So it's not some mass market product that is just run of the mill, just something that we didn't want to make something just to sell people. We want to make something that people will really enjoy. And the response has been overwhelming. So that's now finally available for public consumption.
That's amazing. I'm
I
like,
think I
when do you sleep? I feel like people ask me that all the time. It's like you're doing this, you're doing that. It's just like when do you take a nap?
I mean, you just wake up at 3 a.m. You put your face in a bowl of ice and stare at the water and a
I
bowl.
know. I feel like that popped up on my Instagram feed yesterday. I'm like, maybe the
Oh,
universe is telling me something. Just do that and then just keep it
please,
moving with
please don't
everything
do
else.
that.
Oh my
Rest
goodness.
is rest is necessary. I think I spent a lot of
Absolutely.
time. I spent a lot of time. This is really funny. So this might happen. So I'm gonna tell you this now, but it might happen. One of the books that I was going to write before that I started writing. So I actually may finish it because I do kind of like this, but it was called I Apologize. And it was about bad advice that I was given and gave to other people. And
Almost like a love
one
letter
of
to other people,
one
like,
yeah,
my
one of
bad.
those one of those things in the list. There was like a bunch. I just wrote down in my outline. I just wrote down a bunch of advice that people had given me that was
Yeah.
terrible advice, and I absorbed it because these are people who I respected, who I thought were smart people, and I implemented this advice, and then people either got it from me verbally or they saw me doing it and they started to embody it, and it was just like really bad habits like not sleeping, that whole sleep when I die, if
Oh
you
yeah,
if you sleep you grow,
that
like that.
grind mentality, which I feel
Yeah,
like was like a part of, our culture. I mean, it still is very
it was
much
like
so
hustle
that,
culture.
that hustle culture
Hustle
of
culture.
like grind until, no sleep, sleep is for
Yeah.
the weak and all this stuff. And it's just like, nah, sleep is
Yeah,
key.
that's not productive. It's actually counterproductive. Like it's very counterproductive. I don't really think people understand. Maybe until you get older, and maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just old now, but I think people don't
Listen, join
understand.
the club. I'm like a nap. I mean, I feel like I've
Yeah,
been off like my napping schedule, but as far as like me getting to
nap
bed
is
on
life.
time,
That
everything
nap
shuts
life though.
down. It's a wrap.
Yeah, a good nap would change your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, it changed the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I may still do that. So just remember, once I finish this series, I might come back to it and be like, you know what? I was giving some more bad advice. I want to add to this.
I feel like it would be a cool, like, little pocket thing. I have this,
It's like a coffee table book.
yeah, like a little small coffee table book or something, like a pocket, something small people can kind of carry around and look at and just kind of fact check, like, yeah, let me not do this
Yeah,
today or
yeah.
ever.
Go to sleep. Make sure you
Those
eat
sort of things.
breakfast. Work
Yes.
out. All those things. Keep
Yeah.
yourself healthy. Watch what you eat. That there's no such thing as a cheat day. Like all of those things. You just got to make sure that you remember these things because people will tell you like, oh, it's okay to pick out 4 times a month. It's like, no, that's not. You
Yeah.
shouldn't.
No, I
If
feel
you
like
do
it
it, then
doesn't
forgive
lead
yourself. But
anywhere to anything healthy or
yeah,
remotely like have you focused around what you can do to all the
exactly.
things. Like there's no stamina, right? Like all the things you
Exactly.
mentioned, from writing the book to launching the companies and relaunching the brands. It's like there's no way to show up, be productive, be mindful if you are running off of fumes. And somehow we have turned that into some level of power, like, hey, I can
Yeah.
multitask, I can do this. And it's also kind of like, where is your actual focus? Are you
Yeah.
actually productive in getting things done during all of these level of multitasking or
Like a badge of
productivity?
honor. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, it's
not
not
that's
about it.
nothing. That's
I
not
have
a
to
badge of
do
honor.
this.
That's nothing to be proud of.
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
like
I
no
don't know
thing
how I did
you're
it.
doing well.
As much as I enjoy, I guess, a balanced life now, I don't know how I operated like that for so long. Like I really kind of think I don't know. Maybe I got some type of a superpower that they should, bottle up or something. But just because I did it doesn't mean I want other people to go through that. Because I look at in retrospect, I can see the like effects of that. Like yes, I survived, but maybe I wasn't the happiest while that was going on. And there is a way you can have both. People always say that you can't have both. People preach to you that, oh, you got to choose. It's got to be one or the other. It's like, no, you can have both.
Oh
You
yeah.
can.
It's just a matter of like, figuring out what is important to you, what your
Yeah. What do you
boundaries
prioritize?
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you prioritize, what your boundaries are, which is a big word. More of us need to adopt in a lot of ways, and then set
Mm.
everything around that, right? Like there are just non-negotiables that you're willing to do and not willing to do and not willing to budge on, right? Like I
Yeah.
want to be in bed at a certain time. So it's like that's it, non-negotiable. I want to be able to set
Absolutely.
time and have a breakfast like I feel like normal people do. Right. So it's like that time in my day is just non-negotiable. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's going to happen. and then you build around that and figure out where the balance is. But there's no real perfect life, work-life balance, personal, everything is kind
Yeah.
of intertwined.
Yeah.
But I'm loving all of the things that you're doing just to kind of, bring it back, especially, getting into the beverage side of things.
Mhm.
I'll definitely make sure I take a taste of, the new drink that you're doing. I broke up with tequila a really long time ago.
Okay.
For reasons the podcast doesn't, that's a side conversation. But
Fair enough.
I had to put that down. And at this point in my life, my
I get
tolerance
it.
level for anything is absolutely
No, I
terrible.
get it.
For
I get
those,
it.
those who love a good cocktail, definitely make sure you check it out. But so what does it mean to you to have like all of these things, and how do you kind of look at it from your overall umbrella from a business perspective, and how you kind of want to start to, or how you're looking at your legacy now, right? Like now you have all these varying pieces that are really coming together, even with the book series that will come out and what that could potentially, lean into. So what does that look like as it starts to roll out for you?
Yeah. I have spent 20 plus years of my career. The majority of that time I spent working for and with, but more so for, and I'll explain that, other people, right? And when I say working for, I don't necessarily mean a company. I mean the original reason why I started my first business, when I started or when I transitioned, I guess, I spent marketing into the sporty marketing. And this is before Sporty Marketing Group, just when I started Sporty Marketing as the marketing agency. This was 2009. The reason I did that is because of my mom, really. I noticed that there were people like her who were having difficulty navigating the internet, and some of her friends who were also, business owners. And a lot of them had like brick and mortar businesses. This was, you got to think, this 2009. So this was prior to the Shopify's and all these other things that
And
like,
for all those who don't remember, the internet has not always been around
yeah,
in the ways
yeah,
that we use it
yeah,
now, right?
yeah. This was a completely different thing. Like, right. So um it was me seeing that they were having this difficulty and seeing the future. I see where we're going. I don't want them to get left behind, and I can help them. So that was the kind of like the like most of my original, I'll say my first probably 50 clients were brick and mortar businesses that I helped transition into the internet. I remember one company that it was like uh, a knickknack store. I don't even remember the name of it now, but they sold like little knickknacks, like stuff you have around your house, or not you, but stuff older people would have around their house. And um, I just remember going through their entire inventory and helping them to like, take pictures and categorize and describe and like set up an online store. It took forever. Now, what would take maybe a few days took like a month and a half. And just to see how happy they were once it was finished, like that was what I got into it for. It was like, oh, I can do something that I love, because regardless of how I may have spoken about it or how I speak about it even now, like I love I love what I do. I love what I've done. I love marketing. It's like the perfect marriage between psychology and like sociology, which are two of my favorite things. Like why people do the things they do and how you can motivate them towards an action, or how you can motivate them away from an action. Just those sorts of things is like fascinating to me. Um, so just to see the other side of it, where I'm putting smiles on people's faces who whose business may have been struggling, and then to see them, being able to use these, now these multi-billion dollar companies, but like early on, like the eBays and
Mm.
WordPress and things that were literally just coming out. Like these weren't, widespread companies. I remember when Wix first came out years later, and to see them
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, I can do this. Like now you can show me how, and I think I can do it now. It was like that sort of thing, and then transitioning, I guess, from that into going into into the corporate sphere and realizing that these small businesses have the same problems as these corporations. Like
Mhm.
they also don't know how to navigate this space, and then being able to get contracts and do that for them. I say all that to say I spent so much of that time focused on how I could help other people, and that made me happy. But I wasn't really focused on me, on myself, on the things that I wanted to do for me. I've had, just like I mentioned, I've had the idea to write a book for some time. I used to have a podcast. I'll have another one soon. That's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that on on next season.
Okay.
Um, but but all of those things that I did, it was basically for the business. And now these things that I'm doing now are for myself and my legacy, even though that's going to be a part of my legacy too. But I'm focused on legacy building and making sure that the next things that I do, I now am in a position where I don't have to do anything.
Mhm.
I could, I want to do things, but I don't have to do anything ever again. Luckily, I don't like I've put myself or worked, maybe grinded even
Yeah,
myself
yeah. Got it.
into a position where I'm no longer um I no longer feel like that pressure to deliver because of what is expected of that. I feel like I've helped a lot of people, countless people. I've helped countless businesses. I've built businesses. I've closed businesses. I've, had jobs. I've left jobs, like all of those sorts of things. I've done all of that stuff. I've most people's, bucket list I've lived at 10 times over. So now that that's done, those things that I thought probably thought at that time were for me that were actually for other people. Now my focus is okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to leave behind? How do I want to continue to help, my daughter, help build those things for the future? I may have more kids. Who knows? I don't know about that. I mean, you never know. Like those sorts of
That's
things, you
very
never know.
first
So
year.
so it's but I want to be able to be around for
Mhm.
those things. I want to be available for those things. These are sort of critical, pivotal times and moments that all of that stuff has to kind of take a back seat to this. And luckily, you know, sometimes you things happen and you're trying to play catch up. But now it's like, okay, what do I want to do next? That's how this series came about. I was like, okay, I want to write a book. And I finished that one and I said, I think there's more here. I think there's something else I want to talk about. And then I
Mhm.
decided, okay, I'm going to write two more of these and I'm going to do a documentary. Like it started to kind of just flow because I'm not waiting for somebody else to say, hey, can you do this? Or you should do this, or we want you to do this, or we want to hire you to do this. If I take on those projects, if the company takes on those projects, if whatever, if that happens, cool. If through BES, if we do partnerships with these other organizations and if we work on stuff for them, cool. But all while those things are going on here, here, and here, there's still a lot of stuff going on right here.
Oh
And
yeah.
that is a major shift, I think, from what I was doing before, because before it was here, and sometimes I'll get to do some of this if I have time. And now it's a different priority, or I guess different order, of operations now.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point too, right? I feel like, a lot of us and just I feel like we're naturally sometimes made this way where we're really focused on, business, community and building and, people who are naturally, just naturally giving and collaborative people. We definitely
Yeah.
give a lot of self. And I think even just within our, communities and stuff like that, this is just who we are by nature, right? It's just like who we are. We were always back in history, just, we build together, we're stronger together.
We
Um,
are.
but sometimes we do forget to insert ourselves in that bigger picture of what we're trying to do and how we also sort of fit in so we're fed too and we
Yeah.
don't get lost in like all the stuff that we're doing, although it's great things and it's leading in a direction. it's also that backup of like, okay, well, what is the
Absolutely.
direction that I want to be in? Because
Absolutely.
what you said about your how you're evolving, and even the coming up with how you thought about writing the book and just being that very action oriented person. I think there's always those people who aspire to do those things, and then they are the ones kind of waiting for someone to like push them and pull them in different
Yeah.
directions. And then there's those of us who are on the opposite side, who are just like have an idea and we just go.
Mm.
And similar to you, like even when I first started doing this podcast series, one of my friends in the industry and financial services invited me on to be on his podcast. And, after we were finished talking and having this conversation, I was just like, yeah, this is really fun. I could do this too, or I want to do this. And it was just like,
Mm.
okay, let's call up some friends. Let's just, what do
Yeah.
I use to do this thing? And a lot of these platforms, even the one that we're using now, had like just launched. So it was like just figuring out where to do it, and then just calling up some people. It's like, hey, let's just come on and have a conversation. And to your point, just letting things spiral from there. And then you kind of fit yourself into where there's all these other things I'm doing, and
Yeah.
you're running a company and you're building relationships, you're empowering your community. But where is the thing where you feel the most fulfilled? And
Yeah.
sometimes,
Exactly.
we kind of step away from that.
And I think it changes over time,
Oh
though.
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
where you get your fulfillment from changes over time. Like again, contrary to popular belief, I love people, right?
Mhm.
I've worked with all kinds of people, and I think that I just like to be of service, right? I think I get that from like, my family members, from my grandma, my aunts, some of my uncles. Like, my family has always been service oriented, right? And they're vast, different, all different businesses. Even my brother, like we're all service oriented. We want to be able to see how we can help the people who we feel like deserve it. I know that's a
Same. I
caveat.
know we got to put some like
Yeah,
apps around
yeah,
that. Like, yes, we want to
yeah.
help.
That's a caveat. I ain't trying to
Yeah,
just give it up to everybody, but
exactly.
I think what ends up happening is sometimes we get lost
Mhm.
in that, and then we start to draw, more than just a fulfillment. Like we start to draw inspiration from it. We start to, it's like a dopamine thing. It's like when you help somebody, just like I talked about, seeing those people smile, right? That makes me happy. It's like, okay, how can I get that again? Like I want to help some more people. I want to help some more people. So it's strange that it's selfless to help other people and it's selfish to help yourself, or that's the way that others promote it. But is it selfish when you help other people because you like it? Like it's like, are you not supposed to like it? Are you supposed to help other people and then not be happy with that? Like that,
Yeah, it's a real
I get
thing. I do
enjoyment
feel
out
like,
of seeing other people smile. So what is
yeah.
that? Is that a negative thing? So I think just making sure that you are not, that it doesn't turn into something where that's the only thing that you can do. No one thing should be the only thing, right?
Mhm.
You should be able to find that same joy or purpose in like different things, and that's why, getting into the beverage industry, getting into the literary industry. I've been in entertainment. I've been in media. I've been in, you know, all uh, agriculture, cannabis, like different industries. They're all different ways of doing the same thing. Like every industry that I've been in, even writing this book, I feel like is going to be a service to people. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't have finished it. So it kind of does the same thing. It's like, well, yeah, it was for this, but also it's for that as well. So it all kind of ties in. But there's a way to, I think, prioritize self without getting lost in or getting caught up in the am I doing this for them or for me sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure it out, but I'm glad I'm here now.
Yeah. I mean, everything kind of fits under It's like whatever that brand umbrella is that we have
Yeah.
for ourselves, it all has layers to it. And to your point, it's like it definitely shifts as we get older, right? Between our 20s, our 30s. I
Yeah.
am now, in the beginning of my 40s. And it's just like who you are continues to change. What you feel is
Absolutely.
important continues
Absolutely.
to change, how you want to show up. And again, like back to those boundaries of how you want to be involved in certain things, so you're not always just jumping headfirst in, because there's also that protection of yourself to like, oh yeah, I want to do this, I want to do this, and I want to do this, but it's like, okay, let me just back up, take a minute. And it's like, these are the things
Yeah.
that are actually important to me, that I want to do, that fill me up in a very specific way. And being able to pour that back into more and more people to have like that dopamine effect, right? We're
Yeah.
community driven type of people. My grandmother was one of those types of people where anywhere
Mhm.
we went, she was always talking to somebody, and it was like
Yeah.
the networking multiplier. You just turn around and it's like she's gone somewhere talking, and I'm like, who is this person? Like,
Absolutely.
it's just,
My,
so
my,
you grow up watching that, and you don't realize
yeah.
how much you become that in a good
How much
way.
you become. Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen,
in this
I
environment.
am I am my mother in so many ways. Like I remember when we were younger and we would go to like the supermarket and she would ride by the bus stop. Now this was I would not suggest let me get a little bit closer just so you can understand. I would not suggest doing this now. I'm just going to
Oh yeah,
preface
now
it.
we got to be careful
I
talking to
said, be
strangers.
careful. But
Listen,
we would go to the supermarket and my mom would see like somebody at the bus stop and it may be raining and she would give them a ride home. And my sister and I would just be looking like this could be an ex murderer. Like this person could be like we don't but she just
what
had
friends
this
are
thing
dangerous.
about her where she would just like she just wanted to help people. We would, and she still does this to this day. If she saw somebody who was, I'll say between houses or like unhoused, she has these packets that she carries that she's prepared. You know, it's got like some a snack, a Bible verse, there's some money in it. Like it's just like, and she has them prepared just in case she runs into somebody and she gives it to them and says a prayer for them. Just like things that when I was younger, I thought was the strangest thing. But now I can understand this. Like
Yeah.
this is why you see me drinking this water as if it's a steak right now because I'm fasting because it definitely tastes like lamb chops. But I'm fasting right now, and throughout my fast, there's been a lot of things that have been happening throughout this month, and as they're happening, I just keep adding people to my prayer list. Like it's
Mhm.
like I just want to continue. Like regardless of what is happening, I'm staying right. This is this thing again. Like I'm right here. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm right here. Like regardless of what it is, and I think I got that from her too. I think my dad was the same way, but they're just like focused people where your what you want to do does not change based on the circumstances. Yes, this person could be crazy, but it's raining and my sensibilities tell me that I should help them. Yes, I don't know this person, but they're on the street. I want to help them, right? That's the sort of thing. But going back to what you were saying prior to that, I think that even the things that we get from our ancestors or from our parents or from whoever, right? We chemically that change, it's like innate that we're going to change. No, even a person who who's the most steady or consistent across the board, they have changed. Our bodies change every 7 years, whether we want it to or not, from like a molecular or like a chemical level, right? So we become different people, and I think mentally that happens as well. Every as we're going through these physical changes and going through this process as we're growing and changing, we are evolving. I'll say so that evolution now it starts to show up in different ways where I may not do it in the same way that my mother, grandmother, father, brother, sister, whoever did it, but I'm going to do the same thing because it's still a part of me. It's just a part of me in a different way.
Oh yeah, it's like we're taking, we're in this nuanced life where we're taking all of those things and then building it into like technology
Yeah.
and utilizing that to be of service. And, the all the bells and whistles that we have now that,
Yeah.
yeah, our parents, grandparents, ancestors
Yeah.
did not have access to, but
Yeah.
they form their communities the way that, they were able to in that moment. And we kind of build off of that and continue to build and build and build and build to where we are now, where now we could just build in spaces and places where they couldn't have dreamed of and seem so far-fetched from
Yeah. Can you
reality.
imagine them?
No,
They have,
can you imagine
they
like
have the
having
internet.
a cell phone and
Yeah.
like
Can
call it?
you?
It's just like no, like no one could even envision that. I mean,
Yeah.
even growing up in Jersey, I saw this little like meme or something on Instagram, and it was this little boy at the payphone, and the caption said something to the degree of he was calling his parent to come pick him up from the skating rink, and then just like the phone call ended because you're on a payphone.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, I remember those days as
Time ran out.
yeah, time ran out, and it's just like you're trying to say that quick message, come pick me up, or you had your beeper, and then we had to say. But yeah, it's just that evolution, and I feel like that's really just the word for this evening in this conversation, because it's
Yeah.
that evolution
Absolutely.
of who you are, right? The more we start networking in community, the more we start building, the more we start transferring wealth, not just monetarily, because it's not always about money and leaving people monetary value. It's also about like, what did you pour into them from a knowledge
Mhm.
perspective, right? The more we expand our networks, you're talking about all the different industries that you circulate in. And then with that comes the network that comes out of that, based on not just staying so siloed, right? It's like if
Yeah.
all of us just stayed and played in the pocket that we thought we should be in, or people have suggested us in, like if I never left the world of financial services,
Hmm.
I definitely wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know half of the
Right.
amazing people that I know. But it's like you have to kind of pull yourself into different areas and
Absolutely.
spread around so that you are smarter and you're aligning yourself with people who are equally, on that same level and
Yeah.
doing more. And you can continue that aspiration journey as much as possible.
Yeah. And you expand your idea of wealth,
Yeah.
right? So even though you coming from like a financial services background, your idea of wealth is still different from what it was at that particular time, because you may have been thinking from a financial perspective,
Right.
but now you understand that even outside of money, assets, right? Those things, right? Like I'm going to leave those behind. I'm going to leave assets. I'm going to leave money behind, right? But now it's about what am I able to leave behind that's bigger than just from a monetary or from a financial perspective. Like, am I leaving this world better than I found it in some way? I'm not going to like, I'm not Superman, at least not to myself, maybe to my daughter, but like I can't spin the world backwards, right? But I can
I was
hopefully
like,
keep it
can
on
we?
its.
Can we though? Can we just try real quick? Because I
You
keep
just
I
go
keep
like
calling the
this.
aliens and they keep hanging up on me. They just like nah, like
ET,
we're not coming to
ET, if
save
you
you,
watching this, phone home, my G. Like
right?
here's
I'm like,
it's
yo,
time.
ET, like this would be the perfect time for you to just show back up. Like
Yeah.
you haven't seen that movie since the '80s.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
Um, but yeah, I think that again, it kind of like as we've expanded our mindset, like just like you were saying, what we leave behind is not just those things. It's not just our assets. It's our community. It's our family. It's the way we treated people. It's the things we've built. Whether it's even outside of the companies, it's those memories that those people are going to have of the things that we did for them, selflessly, and the things that we did because it made us feel good too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that it was done. Is that it happened. So yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that just continuous, yeah, legacy of how we do it, how we show up, and
absolutely.
what we want to show up for, and how we just continue to pour more and more of that. So before we kind of hop off and start to close out a bit, like what does, if you had to think of like what you thought your, or what your definition is for evolution, now. I've been in this space for the past, I feel like 2.5 years or so, where I've just been redefining words, like joy, failure, all of the words that I feel like have had such, negative connotations behind
Yeah.
them, and kind of just reworking them for my own, you know, mental stimulation and focus, and just what I believe those words are to me, without any outliers. Are there any words that you've redefined? And then if you could redefine evolution just based off what we talked about tonight, like what would that mean to you in this moment?
Yeah, I think there are words, I guess, like evolution that meant one thing to me, and now they mean something completely different. Like going through and growing through a lot of different changes, watching myself evolve, watching other people evolve. Um, it also sometimes evolution is, or there are other things that are disguised as evolution.
Yeah, that's not
Sometimes,
a fact. I feel like we're gonna have to have a separate episode
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Woo.
Sometimes regression is disguised as evolution, where someone may think they're going forward, but they're actually going backwards, or they're becoming stagnation, right? People used to say stagnation is death. That's like, I think that's from like Caesar or something. And the first time I heard it, I was like, man, that's a cool quote. And I didn't really understand it until I witnessed it. And I saw people who think that they speak as if they're moving forward, but they're not there, but their feet have not left that spot in a very long time. Their minds have not left that spot in a very long time. And that helped me sort of redefine everything, right? I think success is another word that I have redefined. I know you said failure, so I won't take yours, but failure, definitely failure. Um, I would say rest. Um, I used to feel guilty for resting.
Yeah,
I would,
same,
I would,
same.
I would
Yeah,
feel like maybe I should, like, I used to have a very difficult time resting because I would feel like I should be doing something right now. What am I supposed to be doing? And in that moment, if I'm tired, resting is what I'm supposed to be doing. That is
mhm.
the thing. I'm supposed to be doing this thing right now. Um, and yeah, just I think of success even. Like I mentioned, I have been fortunate enough, I guess to say, but I also have worked hard enough to have put myself in positions, or have been able to do things that people say they wish that they could do, or that, and not from an envious perspective. I think it's just it motivates them, but where some people's I guess where some people see as, or what they see as their ceiling, I now see as my floor. So every time I climb a mountain, I just have to make more mountain to climb. So it's like, okay, I reach this peak, but now there's a new summit. Now I want to reach the next summit and the next summit and the next summit. And as long as I think, if I keep that mentality, I won't get bored. Because if when you realize that the ability to manifest successes, right? Not success, because it's not one thing. That's how I
Yeah, it's definitely
redefine
not
it.
linear. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to think that like success was a destination,
Hmm.
and it is multiple things. They are multiple destinations. There are multiple uh things, I guess, like rungs on this ladder of life, so to speak, right? So as you continue to climb, it keeps being redefined every time. I'm like, okay, I have achieved this. Now I've achieved this. Or I think that the real thing is that even achievement, right? Achievement is like,
Yeah.
each word I'm saying is making me think of how I used to look at it versus how I look at it now. A lot of times I don't give myself that type of credit. I don't really think about those sort of things in the way that other people do. So people usually have to tell me for me to see it that way. I know that sounds strange,
No, it
but my
doesn't.
brain doesn't work like that. Like
Because I feel
I
like
don't.
there's a lot of things that we're always doing and stuff is like happening as we're
Yeah,
growing and climbing and getting to these new and higher
yeah,
summits where sometimes people have to pull you back down. I'm guilty of this too and saying, "Hey, you have done a great job." And it's just like, "Well, what did I do?" Because I don't
yeah.
like I don't see it that way because I'm like
I
this
still feel
mountain
like
right
that.
here, I still have not hit this summit. So I'm like, I don't know what happened back down there. It's all a blur now. But it's like that celebration piece of like,
Yeah,
not necessarily not stopping, but just that making room for celebration, which we sometimes don't do. So
yeah.
yeah.
Somebody who inspires me recently told me that I inspired them, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it because it didn't
Mhm.
compute, it didn't click. Like how, like what, like
Like, what
but
am
I
I
think
doing?
that's yeah. I'm like, what am I
What did
doing?
I
Like
do?
I love like it's and it's kind of like it became this like love fest. Like I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. It was kind of like that. I had one of my mentors. I had a really deep conversation with one of my former mentors, somebody who actually credit in my book because I don't forget people. I don't forget anybody who's ever done anything for me, whether we are on the best of terms or not. Like those things always stick with me. And I had a really good conversation with him recently, and he was telling me like, how proud he was of different things and just the difference in our conversations from when I was younger. Because I don't know, I started working with him when I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, which was now almost 20 years ago. And even at that time, like when I was just starting out, he said I was always teachable. And I didn't think that. I thought I was hard headed, but I didn't realize that sometimes different people have different types of effects on you. Like I would, and in retrospect, it's like listening is another one of those words. I would always say, "Hey, sorry, I told you I'm fasting. I got like
Good, good. Drink the water.
not sponsored by them yet, so I'm
I
trying
know
to
you're
cover.
supposed to like put the bottle up and do a quick commercial real quick.
Yeah, listen, if they willing to sponsor the podcast, they want to
There we
sponsor
go.
shit, then I'm down. Um, I listening. I used to say, are you listening or do you hear me? Right? Because you can hear somebody and not be listening. Like right now, I can hear my daughter, but I'm not listening to her.
Mhm.
So I'm listening to you, right? So it was that thing. I used to hear a lot of people, but I wasn't really listening, and that was why in my mind, it was, oh, I'm hard headed. I don't listen. But that was kind of drilled in me from people who I didn't want to listen to. Right. So they would tell me that there were a lot of people who tried to give me advice who I didn't respect and didn't want to take advice from them. And then there was people like him who I did respect and I listened to, but it all got conflated. Like it all started to sound like the same thing. Right. And I
I'm always
never
hard to see
realized.
why we get along so well and why we
Yeah.
have great conversations. We are literally like the same person
Yeah.
because I've been told that.
Twin,
Yeah, like
been-
from a kid and all the things, and to your point of like the listening, right? It was just
yeah.
like from people I respected and felt inspired by, and therefore my ears like actually turned on a bit more. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I used to I give credit, and I hope he doesn't like kill me for this, but I give credit to Star. That's not who I was talking about before, but it just made me
Mhm.
think of him. Star was one of the first people to he was one of the first strangers, I'll say, to believe in me and give me an opportunity when he did not have to. He was already at the pinnacle peak of his career.
Mhm.
The top still is one of the top broadcasters in history. I would say top 10, if not top five, right? And my list is going to be biased, so I would put him closer to one. But like, saw something in me that I didn't even know I was capable of at a very early point in my career. And what he used to do, it wasn't advice. He never told me what to do. He never said I should do this, I should do that. He never really guided me in that way. He just kind of did his thing his own way, and I admired that. And I started to do the same thing. It was always not necessarily what he said, but what he did. Those are the type of people that I've always sort of respected, besides the people who are trying to sit me down and are like, look, this is what you do. You do this and you do that. Because most of those people, I would look at their lives.
Mhm.
I had difficulty in high school because of the same thing. In college, even is why probably why I didn't finish college, because I would look at their lives and it's like, you don't even believe that. Like, what
Yeah, like stop telling me stuff that you
yeah,
aren't doing at
what have
all.
you
Like,
accomplished for you to be? Who are you to tell me this? Like that is what I used to kind of think. And now again, I'm a little different now because I know that knowledge can come from different places. I have people that are younger than me who I consider mentors because
mhm,
they know things that I don't know. So it's different. But in
absolutely.
that instance, it was always like they used to say, and this was the phrase that I used to think before I started teaching. It was like those who can't teach, right? That's the thing that they always try to like impart on us. And I absorbed that, unfortunately, because I missed out on a lot of good lessons, but it also kept me away from a lot of nonsense. It
Mhm.
kept me from listening to people who are not embodying the things that they were teaching, not not realizing that being a professor is a job and being a teacher is a job. So that's different than somebody who's in the business world who is telling you to or trying to give you advice that they would never take. I had people who I won't name, but I really should. That's why I'm looking away because I'm trying to think. But
Like, don't make me pull it. I won't do that to you. But
I'm
yeah.
not gonna break my fast. I'm gonna
No,
stay.
no, no, no. We are staying in the
So,
golden moment of evolution. We are in the positive zone. I didn't
but
say or anything, but we just going, put some pretend sage out here.
But
Um,
there, yeah, but there are people who advised me in ways that I know that they would not have done. Things that they told me that I should put up with and that I should take, and that I should just turn the other cheek.
oh yeah.
And I was always thinking like, but that's not what you did. You wouldn't do that. Why are you telling me to do that? Like it worked out well for like I'm just not understanding. What is it about this thing that why are you misdirecting me? And that's why that word mentor, that's another one. Mentor, advisor, all of those things. Like those are two other words that I'm not necessarily too fond of because they're just thrown out all willy-nilly.
Oh yeah.
And you can take some really bad advice and you can have somebody mentor you into oblivion. And that's just why you got to be really careful with all of those things. Because all of those words I mentioned are very dangerous. Success is a drug. Mentor can be a drug. It can be as bad as like fentanyl. It can make you feel good until you realize you are addicted to whatever it is that this person is I'm telling you, and it can be a negative addiction, like cigarettes.
Yeah.
So
You really have to have your like going back to the whole point about, hearing versus listening. Like
yeah,
not enough of us kind of focus on that listening
yeah,
part where we are taking that advice, but we're taking it at, all the value because we
mhm,
admire this person so much and they've, have been put on this pedestal. So we assume all of these different things without really, listening to what they're saying and also
yeah,
watching what they're doing. Because if that's not, front and center and you can't really, put any type of, any detail or any story behind anything, you just kind of start falling for all sorts of stuff. I mean,
oh
we're
yeah,
kind of watching a lot of that in real time, so to speak. And that's a
yes
lot
we
of,
are.
this the scary part. I just have to send a mental prayer and send it away. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's the, scary part about, mentorship and advising and even just taking that advice, whether, what that advice is, business, personal, professional, financial, like all of that ties under that umbrella of,
yeah.
who you are, the people that you want in your life, and, how you use that to push yourself forward. So
Yep.
Yeah, it's like redefining is insanely important and can be almost essential to your mental health in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. I call it going shopping for advice.
Mm,
You gotta shop smart the same way you would shop for anything else. When you're looking for input or shopping for input, that's what it is. I'm sorry. Shopping for input.
yeah.
When you go shopping for input, you do it the same way you would in a store. You don't buy the first one you see. You don't just buy the one you've seen on TV. You don't just grab the first one that's by the counter because that's the one they trying to sell you. You
Mhm.
know,
Exactly. When you're bored standing
you
in the
do a little,
aisle.
yeah, yeah. You do a little bit of research. You got to compare. You got to pull it up on your phone and say, "Is this the one I'm looking for?" No, I don't know. It kind of look like it, but it's got a different label. So, I
Yeah,
want
it's
to make
like
sure that
not
I'm getting the
exactly.
one that's best for me and my household.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that's not that same color green. Put it down. Like just
Exactly.
simple as that.
Definitely not that same color.
It does
Exactly.
not match. Just stop it. Let it go. All the things. Well, Rashaad, I mean, I feel like we'll have to, maybe for this season, we'll also have to do like a closeout too. So maybe
I,
we'll
I
have,
would love to.
yeah, put
This
like
is
a,
this is my favorite podcast to do. I love it. I think it's just us. I think I'm
yeah,
just comfortable talking to you. Every time this happens, and it probably will happen tonight, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of hungry. But we always do the podcast, and then I feel like we do what is the equivalent of another podcast once we stop recording.
I know we do. We do. We
Every
really
time.
do.
Every time. It
But
never
like
fails.
in the future, we're gonna have to like jointly throw something out into the world. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's
Yeah.
gonna be something like really dope.
Let's do it.
Really,
When you
yeah.
do your live podcast, let me know. I'll come.
Yeah, let's yeah, maybe that's what we should do next. We'll have to do this live.
Yeah,
I think let's
I'm
okay,
down.
put that down. I'm tired of writing post-it notes today. I'm surrounded by them. So note on the thing of like stuff to clean out the clutter. Put that, add that to everyone's list
Got it.
who's listening. But no, always a dope conversation. We'll have you
Absolutely,
back. We'll
absolutely.
absolutely talk about that live podcast and figure out what that topic would be. But I think that would be a great evolution to the story that we continue to build here, especially on this podcast. All the dope work that you're doing. I will say it here first. Just you do inspire me. About just yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course, like all the things that you're doing, right? I think
And
it's
it's mutual.
important. Yeah, it's important to pour back into each other, right? Like that's how we continue to be champions for each other, seeing each other's work, acknowledging that even when we're just like running through all of the things. But yeah, I
Mhm.
love the way that you show up for your community, your brand, and what you're really trying to put into this world and the lives that you've changed and the lives that you'll continue to change as you keep going forward. So always happy to celebrate all that you're doing and really excited for all the things that are going to come next. That I can't wait
So
to.
much more to come.
Yeah, so much more to come. I'm like, we got a list. We got a list.
So much more.
But no, thanks for coming on the podcast. I know I'll have you back. Is there any like in this moment that we're in, and I feel like we're in
Several moments.
several moments. What would be just that one gem of advice for people or thought?
Um, this is probably one of the realest pieces of advice that
Hey,
I
this is
have.
what we hear. You come to the Blueprint podcast,
Yeah,
realist information.
that that I have ever been given. It actually came from a book, but and I'll give you the translation because it was in another language, but it basically was saying, pray to God, but make sure you tie up your camel. And what
Mm,
that means is you pray to God and trust all you want to, but don't leave your doors unlocked. Make sure you close your windows. Make sure that fasten your belt. Prayer is one thing, but prayer in couple with common sense is what you got to make sure you keep in mind. People sometimes they pray and sit still, but prayer is an action word. So you gotta put some action with that.
love it. Ooh, Lord. We're gonna have to We have to unpack that more. That was a word and a great place to end on. So again, Rashaad, thanks for coming on. Everyone, make sure that you continue to check in, hear more about the podcast and more episodes coming up. And of course, feel free to tap back into the previous seasons to hear more from myself and Rashaad and hear more of his story and everyone who participated in the Included Series podcast, which is now, of course, the Equity Blueprint podcast. So again, welcome back. Welcome if this is your first time, and we'll see you soon.